speeding up your time.
Well, welcome everyone. Let me reintroduce myself. My name is Titus. I'm a recent graduate of the MSc in Entrepreneurship and Innovation. So I'll be looking for employment or, if possible, to become an entrepreneur. What I'll be introducing today is my presentation called Bagan Energy Solutions. As Jay said, Bagan means garden in Bengali. Before I explain the concept, just a brief outline of the key questions which I aim to answer during this presentation. Firstly, what is a venture? And what's critical to this whole venture is how does it bring about social value? I'm going to look at the product and the market a little bit, to try to give you an idea of how it's going to work, why this product, why this market, who are some of the people behind it, we're going to make it happen, some financial projections, I'll take a look at that as well, and then some key considerations for the future and to keep in mind if the project goes into actualization. So firstly, the mission statement for Bagan Energy Solutions is to improve the livelihood of impoverished rural communities in Bangladesh through energy-related initiatives whilst aspiring to bring about sustainability and innovation in all its works. The reason that this includes innovation is because I feel that Bangladesh is a hub for social development at the moment. This was mainly due to microfinancing having evolved there to a high extent. So there's a lot of different projects going on there, and instead of copying projects from other countries, it'd be interesting to see what the scope is for more opportunity, and to try to work together with other bodies in developing new forms of social value-creating projects. So what is the proposed venture exactly? As you can see, I've split it into two to depict what the social value is and how it is a business-driven and how it's an enterprise essentially. So the social value is similar to the mission statement: to provide rural, poverty-struck village communities in Bangladesh with a means of establishing a secondary sustainable source of income for communal development. So the reason I chose to target this particular social value is because a lot of very poverty-struck rural communities in Bangladesh depend highly on agriculture, and they have let's say one set income. If something fails, if the crop doesn't work, if there's a disaster, if they need extra money for sicknesses, that's a huge cut into their financial means for that year. They have nothing to lean on, let's say. So I've kind of dubbed it the secondary income for that purpose. The business plan, or the concept behind it, is to cultivate a crop which is called Jethropa quercus. It's a biodiesel generating crop, and I don't want to grow it in big plots of land. But when you look at village communities, you'll see that within a community, this is some pictures I took during a field trip when I was there. There's a lot of little allocated bits of land which are not being used for anything. And I want to just grow, let's say, one shrub over here, one shrub over there, one shrub over there, one shrub over there, throughout the whole village community, and collectively collect the seeds on an annual basis and sell those on to a potential biodiesel refinery. So yeah, that's the business-driven part. The proposed venture is to start in 2013. This is related to a commercially driven concept which I worked on during my master's degree, to develop the same crop across 300 hectares of land. But that's purely for commercial reasons, not for any social gain. The beauty of that is, though, it checks if the plant has, there's a market for the plant within the country, and if on an agricultural level it's able to grow. So before starting this as a social venture, I want to check it on a commercial level first to make sure that it's viable. The product itself, Jethropa quercus, some people have heard of it, some haven't. The beauty of it is, why I want to use it as well, a lot of the land that you saw here, it's probably not too fertile. It's able to grow on wasteland. That having been said, the oil yield is extremely high, as you can see, but if you grow it on less fertile land, obviously that'll decrease, so you have to measure those aspects. So the return on investment might be lower than I've measured here just because of the land. It's environmentally friendly, numerous byproducts. This again adds to the social value because it makes room for example, women's projects. One of the byproducts of the plant when you refine it is glycerine. So using glycerine, you can develop soap. So you could set up a project within a village which allows women to develop soap and be sold as fair trade products. Oh, and high drought and pest resistance. It's typically actually a weed before it was used on any commercial level. It was considered more of a weed. So it grows very easily. So you don't have to pay too much attention to the plant. So yeah, excuse my artistic skills, but let's say that's a village community. You'll see over here you have cattle. In very rural areas, people who don't know of the plant's characteristics are already using it as fencing because cattle don't eat it. So you could introduce this as a concept that's used in all the villages, and then just to sporadically grow it wherever possible. To start this concept, I'll start with 2 villages and aim at cultivating about 1 hectare per village. But when I say a village, I don't mean one single family. I mean a collective group of families which has a clear let's say communal structure to it, where you have a head. There has to be a structure to the village. It can't just be a bunch of random people who are just living somewhere. Because a lot of the communication we do will be through the head of the villages. So just some steps that are required. We need to build some awareness campaigns because no one knows of this plant. In a culture like that, you need to build up some trust and security. Village selection process. It has to be a village, for example. I think it's in the appendix of the proposal I have it, but it has to be a village that doesn't have electricity yet. It has to be a village that's accessible. It has to be a village that has a clear structure, and it has to be a village that has certain amounts of lands within it, that so that we can grow enough. The market opportunity. Why Bangladesh? Well, the commercial business plan I'm doing is situated in Bangladesh. I am half Bangladeshi, so obviously I have a bit of love. Why the market though? Extensive rural poverty. If you look at statistics, you'll see. I think I read recently in a UNICEF report, 30% of the rural population faces extreme poverty, and another 30% faces moderate poverty. Low access to energy resources. There's 33% of the entire population of the country has access to electricity, out of which 50% of that electricity goes to the capital. So you have a huge market for energy resources. There's a lot of government and energy initiatives at the moment, which might be viable options for subsidies or grants. It's a growing hub for social development, as we can see with the growth of microcredit and a lot of other institutions setting up there. That having been said, though, that also creates a certain level of competition. Because I'm sure if you go to any of these villages that I might potentially be targeting, you will find that another NGO or another charitable organization has already targeted them for something. So you have to build up a level of trust. The plant has been very successful in India. It's never been grown in Bangladesh at all. So it's favorable for cultivation. The temperature, the land is similar. There's 0 competitors in the sense of the product itself. If you look at the green or the red marks on the map, those are marks which have been targeted where Jethropa could be cultivated. Some key individuals behind the project, which without them I wouldn't be able to do this. We have Dr. Islam, the first one. He's the head of Grameen Shakti. Grameen Shakti is a sub-department under Grameen Bank, which focuses on rural electrification. So he's been helping me a lot with the commercial business. But he has said, if this works out, if it's a viable option, we will want to go into a more socially oriented path. Then we have Mr. Parvez Islam, who is a lecturer at one of the agricultural universities in an area called Mymensingh, where I do plan to set up this project. And he's going to be in charge of the agricultural advice and providing training to the people in charge. Then we have an accountant from World Vision who will be helping with, let's say, the efficient running of it. Go to financial details quickly. I know it says 400, which is absurd, but there's a catch, because to get the 400 only refers to the cultivation within one village. I need 500,000 for Shobuj Selection, which is the first venture. A lot of the assets within Shobuj Selection will be used within Bagan Energy Solutions, because you only need certain parts of the business process in certain parts of the year. So we can shift those around so that, for example, the logistics is used in December, and for Bagan Energy Solutions, it's used further on in the year. So it's a bit of a mix match. So technically I plan to fund the whole thing myself if the commercial one sets off. Little sales forecast here. Average yearly income will be 430, which can be translated on local level to 2 additional incomes per annum for the entire village. Sales will continue to grow. Sales have the potential to grow for 50 to 40 years, or 40 to 50 years, depending, of course, on the fertility, the effects of the environment. Any surplus income will be reinvested for either expansion purposes, or it will be simply reinvested in the same community. Break even occurs in the 3rd year. One thing to keep in mind is we're not using fertile land here. This is not a commercial project, so the oil yield is going to vary more so. So these are very rough estimates, which will have to, be subject to more research. Key areas of risk, highly dependent on the commercial project. Variations in oil yield, natural disasters, cooperation and trust between village heads and Bagan Energy Solutions is extremely important. Grameen Bank will be helping me with that, as they already have ties with the local community. Second last slide. The ineffective evaluation of target groups' long-term needs. I don't want to just give them the money. I want to develop a concept where we go to the village, we ask them, what are your direct needs, whether it's education or health, and we try to devise a program that assists them in any communal development. So some areas where you can grow in, we can, for example, they're going to provide the seeds to a company. Instead of doing that, we can provide them with microcredit bought pump presses to produce the oil themselves, thus increasing the value of the product. Another thing we can do is we can develop saving schemes allowing communities to purchase an oil generator, so we keep the income. We don't give them any money, but after a few years we give them a generator, and they can run that to, I think one generator runs 130 houses for electricity needs, on a limited level, of course. You can intercrop the crop with food crops to increase primary revenues, use Zetropa byproducts like glycerin for additional production projects. Key success factors, socially oriented. The managing body is very socially oriented. You have Grameen Bank, you have myself, you have the Bangladesh Agricultural University. They all have socially oriented projects. It's been a developing concept since 2009. This isn't just something that I've thought of out of the blue. I've worked on this. It's not just an idea. We have a very strong network. I mean, dependence on Grameen is high. That's a negative issue, but we have them on our side, which is beautiful. Exhaustive market and product knowledge, through all the people involved. Prospective expansion opportunities. There's a lot, and I find they're all quite innovative. So looking at them would be an interesting thing to measure and research. We'd be a new market leader. Zetropa hasn't been grown there, and this collective system, I haven't found it in other communities. Someone might be aware of a project similar to it, but I haven't come across it. And there's a potential for long-term return on investment. Thank you.
Any observations, questions from the audience? Yeah, please.